Assalamualaikum and good day. We are from Group 5. Today we are going to present application of MFRS by Malaysian companies.
Good day everyone, my name is Yvonne Young, my matrix number is 272357. I'm going to present about background of our 5 chosen companies. Our 5 chosen companies which listed on Bursa Malaysia websites are BTM Resources Berhad, Tafi Industrials Berhad, Texing Holdings Berhad, Teoseng Capital Berhad and Unimed Group Berhad. There are 2 company sectors from our chosen companies which are industrial products and services as well as consumer products and services. BTM and Unimed are under industrial products and services sector, but the other 3 companies which are Tafi, Texeng and Teoseng take place under consumer products and services sector. BKAR Resources was incorporated on 10 June 1994 as a public limited company and listed on the main market of Bursa Malaysia on 27 March 1996. The company is located at Kuala Terengganu, Malaysia. The main activities of PTM comprise investment holdings and provisions of management services. Besides that, the subsidiaries of the company involved in activity which perform lodging, sawmilling, kiln drying, timber molding, letting of plant and machineries, trading of sawn timber, logs and plywood, as well as manufacturing of finger joint timber and laminations of boards. On 29 January 2004, Tafi Industries Berhad was established as a private limited company with the name of Amani Vista Sdn Berhad. After that, Tafi had changed the company's name to Tafi Industries Berhad on 9 March 2004 and converted the business to public limited company on 18 March 2004. Lastly, Tafi was listed on Bursa Malaysia on 4th February 2005. Tafi is located at Muar Johor. The company is mainly involved in management services of holdings and supply of investment activities. For the subsidiaries company, they involve in manufacturing and marketing of furniture products as well as other holding investment in certain properties. Texing Holdings Berhad had incorporated on 10 May 2002 as private limited company and listed on Bursa Malaysia on 22 September 2006. The locations of the company at Bukit Mertajam, Penang. The principal activities of the company is investment holdings and the subsidiaries company perform manufacturing and trading of polyvinyl chloride related products, non-woven polypropylene products and letting of properties activities. The incorporation date of Teoseng Capital Berhad as a private limited company on 8 May 2006 and converted public limited company on 31st May 2006. On 3rd August 2009, the company has listed on Bursa Malaysia successfully. Teoseng Capital is located at Yong Peng, Johor. The main activities of the companies are investment holdings. Moreover, the subsidiaries company activities are poultry farming, marketing of chicken's eggs, manufacturing and marketing of animal feeds, egg trays, organic ferment fertilizer, as well as distributions of pet food, medicine, and animal health products. Unimed Group Berhad was incorporated on 25th October 1996 as private limited company and converted to public listed company on 8 November 1996. The natural business of the company is investment holdings and provisions of management services. Furthermore, the subsidiaries company is providing value-added engineering, air pollution control consultancy, exhaust stock design, manufacturing plants, distribution centers, and conducts more research and development activities. The head office of the company is located at Butterworth, Penang. So that's all from me. I would like to pass the presentation to the next presenter.
Hi everyone, I'm Kisun. Today I will presenting the disclosure of MFRS 110 event after the reporting periods. There are total 11 subsequent events that disclosed in the annual report of our 5 selected company. Alright. Okay, now we look at the first event after the reporting periods, BTM Biomass Product. Serbia Berhad, one of the subsidiary company of BTM Resources Berhad, entered into a memorandum of understanding in the year 2019 with one of the company in the Republic of Korea. And this type of event after the reporting period can be classified as a non-adjusting event because this subsidiary company entered the memorandum in the year 2019, which is after the reporting periods of the company. And the company does not need to make an adjusting entry and only disclose a note to the account of the financial statement in the year 2018. The second one is Unimed Group Berhad proposed a final single type dividend and also subscribe an additional ordinary share in the year 2019. And these two type of subsequent event can be classified as a non-adjusting event because Unimed Berhad proposed the single type dividend and also subscribe the additional ordinary share in the year 2019, which is after the reporting periods. And the company only need to disclose a note to the account of the financial statement in the year 2018, and the company does not need to provide an adjusting entries. Okay, the third event after the reporting period is BTM Resources Berhad, the same company, proposed a termination of head of agreement HOA for the production of liquefied petroleum gas with much more energy level limited in the year 2020. And this type of event can be classified as a non-adjusting event because the company proposed the termination of this project in the year 2020, which is after the financial year end 2019. And the company only needs to provide a note to the account of the financial statement in the year 2019. The fourth one is also the same company, BTM Berhad, undertaking a private company issuance share in the year 2020. And this type of event can be classified as a non-adjusting event because the company undertook the issuance share of other company in the year 2020, which is after the reporting periods of the year 2019. And this type of event does not need to provide an adjusting entry, and the company only need to provide a note to the account of the financial statement 2019. Okay, now we look at the second last event after the reporting periods, emergence of COVID-19. Five of our selected company, such as BTM Resources Berhad, Tafi Industry Berhad, Textec Berhad, Teosec Berhad, and also Unimed Group Berhad, stated the outbreak of COVID-19 as their subsequent event in the annual report 2019. And this type of event can be classified as a non-adjusting event because this event occurred after the reporting period, which is in the year 2020. And this event does not give any effect to the account of the financial statement in the year 2019. And therefore, the company does not need to provide an adjusting entry and only need to disclose a note to the account of the financial statement in the year 2019. And finally, Textec Industry Berhad enter a purchase control for plants, property, plants, and also equipment in the year 2020. This type of event can be classified as a non-adjusting event because Textec Berhad only enter this purchase control in the year 2020, and this event does not provide any effect to the financial statement in the year 2019. Therefore, the company only need to provide a note to the account of the financial statement in the year 2019. I think that's all from me. Thank you for your listening and bye.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Khalila Amalina binti Muhammad, matrix number 272424, and I will continue the presentation with key audit matters of our project. Okay, for the first key audit matter is valuation of inventories. According to the MFRS 102 inventories, both of the company, which is BTM Resources Berhad and Unimac Company Berhad, priced their inventories at the lower of cost and net realizable value based on the annual reports for the years 2018 and 2019. As BTM Resources Berhad adopted lower of cost and net realizable value as their inventory valuation method, the organization could be vulnerable to the possibility of a reduction in the net realizable value of the inventory below cost due to the outdated expenses. This will have a material effect on the carrying value of inventories, which will affect BTM Resources Berhad's financial result. In the Unimac Company Berhad, the valuation of a sample of an inventory component was checked and confirmed by its external auditors, whereby the unit price included in the final inventory listing description was used to compare existing price lists, previous sales invoice, or recent sales invoice to ensure that inventory were listed at a lower cost and net realizable value. For the second key audit method is valuation of trade receivable. We found that BTM Resources Berhad and Unimac Group Berhad using valuation of trade receivable. The introduction of MFRS 9 financial instruments allows the corporation to accept based on new forward-looking approach to potential credit losses and impairment loss provision for trade receivable. In 2019, based on the simplified method impairment model under MFRS 9 financial instrument, trade receivable are subject to the estimated credit loss. BTM used a provision matrix based on the age of receivables and estimates on credit risk profiling, projected future cash flows, and macroeconomic factors. For Unimac, the methods of assumptions used by the company is estimating the recoverable amount and impairment loss, and the completeness of the data used by the company has been assessed by the external auditor. The appropriateness of disclosure for the impairment for trade receivable in accordance with MFRS 9 financial instrument was reviewed by the external auditor. The next key audit method is impairment of property, plant, and equipment. Taufik Industrial Berhad and Textile Holding Berhad is the company that concentrate on this segment because in the consolidated financial statement, the property, plant, and equipment of the company constitutes a substantial part of the asset. For Taufik, the recoverable value of the asset, if such an assumption occurs, would be measured to assess the magnitude of the impairment loss. Any changes in the key assumption will cause an impairment loss to be recognized. The most significant audit protocol is inspect the property, plant, and equipment to guarantee they are alright and discuss with management in the basis of cash and cash flows, benefit estimates and predictions, and primary assumption use. For Textile Holding Berhad in the year 2019 and 2018, the company faced a continuous decline in the group's earnings contribution, which existed before an assumptions of impairment. The most significant audit protocol is assessed if the method of calculating the recoverable quantity used by the group is sufficient in the group's circumstance, and the core principle and inputs used in the calculation process were examined and questioned by the management. For the next key audit method is impairment of carrying amount of investment in subsidiary company. From our 5 chosen companies, we found that Textile Holding Berhad and Taufik Industries Berhad had involved in impairment assessment of carrying amount of investment in subsidiary companies during the years 2018 and 2019. The recoverable amount was determined based on the net present value of the cash flow projection that covering 5 years period at an appreciated discount rate and the weighted average cost of capital for the group of Textile. Besides that, Taufik Industries Berhad had carried out the recoverable amount of cash generating unit, which identified the key assumption according to the calculation of value in use for impairment of carrying amount of investment. The value in use is calculated according to the management of cash flow, profit forecast, and projection for 4 financial years. That's all from me.
Good day, Doctor. My name is Goylin and my metric number is 270896. I would like to continue the presentation with the next point in key audit methods. The next key audit method is impairment of amount owing by subsidiary company. In 2018, Textile Holdings Berhad has the impairment loss of 4,274,341 ringgit based on the amount owing by the subsidiary companies of 37,201,162 ringgit. In 2019, the impairment loss is 3,138,329 ringgit according to the amount owing by the subsidiary company with 16,419,296 ringgit. These transactions took place in key audit methods as the impairments need the management of the company to practice the significant judgment in determining the probability of default by the subsidiary of Texas Holding Berhad, the suitable statistic for future planning and estimation of recoverable cash flows when the worst situation happens. Last but not least, there is only a key audit matter stated in the annual report of Teoseng Capital Berhad for the year 2018 and 2019, which is the revaluation of the biological assets. The fair value of the biological assets for the year 2018 and 2019 were 53,518,837 ringgit and 56,854,079 ringgit respectively. These amounts of biological assets were measured at fair value less cost to sell.
First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Nurul Izzah binti Rosman. My metric number is 273719. I represent financial ratio analysis. Firstly, I will explain about the current ratio. The company's current ratio defines their ability to pay off its short-term obligation using its current asset within 1 year. From this step bar chart, in 2018, Taufik Industri Berhad has the highest current ratio, while in 2019, Texas Holding has the highest ratio. This indicates that each company is the best at managing their current asset to pay off its current debt eventually in the respective year. Next, there is no company that has current ratio below than 1 in 2018, but there is BTM Resources Berhad that has current ratio below than 1 and the lowest compared to the others in 2019. This indicates that BTM Resources is the worst at managing its current asset to pay their current debt. We also can sum up that Unimatch Group Berhad, Teoseng Capital Berhad and Texas Holding Berhad is getting better at managing its current asset to pay off its debt as their current ratio from 2018 to 2019 shows the increasing trend. Meanwhile, Taufik Industri Berhad and BTM Resource Berhad are start to having difficulties in managing its current asset to pay off its current debt because their current ratio from 2018 to 2019 shows the decreasing trend. Next, inventory efficiency ratio. Inventory efficiency ratio determines whether the company is managing its inventory effectively or not. From the step bar chart above, Teoseng Capital Berhad has the highest inventory efficiency ratio for both year in 2018 and 2019. The ratio is between 5 to 10, which means Teoseng Capital Berhad total average of inventory are being sold in timely manner. Meanwhile, Unimatch Group is having the lowest inventory efficiency ratio, which indicate that they are poor at managing its inventory with the given amount of sales, as their ratio for both year in 2018 and 2019 are below than 1. Next, the inventory efficiency ratio for BTM Resources Berhad, Taufik Industri Berhad and Texas Holding Berhad is below the ideal inventory efficiency ratio because the ideal inventory efficiency ratio for most nature of business is in between 4 to 6 because it indicates the rate at which the inventory is restocked is well balanced with their sale. Therefore, we can conclude that these three companies are possibly needing more product marketing to boost their sales and reduce the restock amount to prevent the excess inventory. Next, trade receivable day. Trade receivable day measure the total amount of days of the corporation takes to collect their money back from the date of the credit sale transaction was made. From the diagram above, Unimatch Group Berhad has the longest time of trade receivable days for both year in 2018 and 2019. Although they took more time to collect payment from their debtors compared to the other companies, but they still managed to collect payments within the credit term of 30 to 130 days. There is an increase in trade receivable days of Taufik Industri Berhad from 2018 to 2019 and a decrease in trade receivable days of Teoseng Capital Berhad and Texas Holding Berhad from 2018 to 2019. This indicates that trade receivable for these three companies may not face any cash flow issues to pay their day-to-day operation and current liabilities within the credit period, which are 180 days. Lastly, BTM Resources Berhad has the lowest trade receivable days compared to the others. This means that all the credit sale from their debtor will be obtained by BTM Resources under the usual credit cycle of trade receivable of 30 days. Next, trade payable day. The trade payable day ratio is used to measure the average time taken by one company to pay for their credit trade purchase from their creditors. As we can see from the diagram above, Texas Holding Berhad has the lowest trade payable for both years in 2018 and 2019. However, their normal credit term of trade payable is from 30 to 60 days. Meanwhile, Tiosan Capital Berhad has the longest trade payable day in 2019, but their normal credit term of trade payable is 90 days. This indicates that both Texas Holding Berhad and Tiosan Capital Berhad did not take full advantage of the trade payable that they are entitled to because they settled all the credit purchase from their creditor earlier than the normal credit term of trade payable. Next, Taufik Industrial Berhad, BTM Resources Berhad and Unimatch Group Berhad trade payable days are within their normal credit term of trade payables, which means their cash outflow are being managed effectively to pay off their creditors. Lastly, cash operator cycle. Cash operator cycle is measure of time taken by the company to pay the supplier for its inventory and collect their cash from the creditors from the customer. From the diagram above, Tiosan Capital Berhad has the shortest number of cash operating cycle, while Unimatch Group Berhad has the longest number of cash operating cycle compared to the others. For both years in 2018 and 2019, this indicates that Tiosan Capital Berhad is having the best cash operating cycle, while Unimatch Group Berhad has the worst cash operating cycle. Last but not least, we can sum up that the decreasing trend of cash operating cycle for BTM Resources Berhad, Taufik Industrial Berhad, Tiosan Capital Berhad and Texas Holding Berhad from 2018 to 2019 shows that those company is getting better at collecting their cash from debtor and pay off its creditor. However, the increasing trend of cash operating cycle for Unimatch Group Berhad shows that they are having difficulties to collect cash from their debtors and pay their creditors.
In short, 5 public listed companies in Busan, Malaysia, namely BTM Resources Berhad, Taufik Industry Berhad, Texas Holdings Berhad, Tiosan Capital Berhad, and Unimatch Group Berhad, were chosen in order to complete this project. There are a total of 11 subsequent events which have been disclosed in the annual report of the 5 chosen companies for the year 2018 and 2019. Based on our findings, all the subsequent events are classified as non-adjusting events. They are entered into a memorandum of understanding, proposed final single-tier dividend and subscription of additional ordinary shares, termination of heads of agreement, undertaking of private placement of the company's issued shares, emergence of COVID-19, and enter a purchase contract for property, plant, and equipment. These non-adjusting events will not affect the company's financial statements but only provide notes to the account of the financial records. Under the Independent Auditor's Report section, all the selected companies have key audit methods: the valuation of inventories, valuation of trade receivables, impairment of property, plant, and equipment, impairment of carrying amount of investment in subsidiary companies, impairment of amount owing by subsidiary companies, as well as impairment of biological assets, are the common key audit methods for the 5 listed firms. For working capital ratio, our group has calculated and analyzed the financial ratios of the 5 companies. Based on our finding, we can conclude that Texas Holding Berhad and Tiosan Capital Berhad have better performance among the 5 companies in 2018 and 2019. Texas Holding Berhad will not face any difficulties in paying debts to their creditor because they have sufficient current assets to pay its short-term obligation. After all, it has the highest current ratio and quick ratio for both years. Tiosan Capital Berhad has the highest inventory efficiency ratio among the 5 companies in 2018 and 2019. This indicates that the company has higher ability to manage and use its assets properly. We faced a lot of challenge while preparing the project. The challenge that we faced was there are a lot of subsequent events disclosed by the selected companies in the annual report. We confused to categorize whether the events are adjusting or non-adjusting events. For working capital ratio analysis, it was hard for us to find the best way to compare the 5 companies in 2018 and 2019 because there were too many working capital ratios. However, through this project, we are able to obtain better understanding on the application and disclosure of FAR3 by Malaysian public listed companies, key audit methods, and measurement on the company's performance by using the working capital ratios. That's all presentation from our group. Thank you.